Okay.
Okay. It says we're here. I see the green thing that indicates that we have sound. Hi, y'all. This is a take 2. If you saw the first one, you will know that there was no sound after a couple of minutes. Give us a second.
Okay, so you get that's the new one.
Yep.
Okay, so you get that's the new one. Yep. We have
for now we had sound for
right.
We have for now we had sound for silent. I agree with you. We had sound before. I don't trust it. So silent. I agree with you. We had sound before. I don't trust it. So silent. I agree with you. Okay.
Hopefully that will do away with the echo. I just turned off the volume on my iPad.
Yeah, I don't know if you're getting an echo now because okay, yeah, it's because he turned down his sound, y'all. Okay.
Okay.
So here, just to give everybody I don't know, set expectations on the off chance that our mic goes out again, we will absolutely record audio. If I have to upload audio with a smiling picture of the two of us like this, so that you can always get the audio of what we're talking about. This episode will happen, okay?
It's like the episode that wasn't meant to be.
Shh, don't say that. Silent asked if it was YouTube or us. The soundboard worked. JB checked it.
Yeah,
so
the soundboard was doing what it was supposed to. Was not able to figure out where it was. I just told her, let's try stopping and starting. You know, kind of like turning it off and turning it back on again.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, so when we were using like an XSplit or maybe even an OBS, we could stop a stream in the system and start it right back up. Doing it directly through YouTube means if we stop it, we got to go start a whole new one. Frustrating part, I'm going to be referencing links in the places. They're not currently in the places anymore because I just tried to get the stream up and going quickly.
You know, at this point, seeing a lot of the comments blowing through the chat here, I've decided I'm just going to sit here, smile, and nod my head.
That's not how we work. Even at my most perimenopausal, that is never how it's worked. Just for the record. So, I'm going to do the intro for anybody who rocks up to this later. And it's like, what are they talking about? The second one. It's fine. It's fine. Hello.
Hi.
Kayla Lord.
John Brownstone.
Of Loving BDSM, where we help Kingsters like you have happy, healthy power exchange relationships. What are words? I don't know. This is our live stream. We record our podcast, the audio version of which hits all major podcast apps every Friday. We are not early. We're technically late for the live stream, but our whole early butt rub portion got jacked up. So we're going to do that again. We're going to take a minute. I'm going to ease into this. For me personally, this topic is way too damn important to feel like I have been rushed.
She practices in the shower, Silent.
Y'all, I can't possibly practice the intro when I can be mid-intro and forget the fucking intro. Okay, I want to say hi to folks who managed to come here for the second time.
Yeah.
Thank y'all. Hi, Kitty. Hi, Claire. Hi, Ginny. Hi, Silent. Hi, Basie. Hi, Mari. Hi, X. Hi, Yarn and Whiskey. Hi, Jen. Hi, Chicky Luna. Hi, Tayshu. Hi, Rara. I'm scrolling. Hi, Little Miss. Hi, Kim. Hi, Dorina. Scrolling. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
There we go.
And you know, we've got 7 minutes to make up, so we're gonna have to talk a lot faster so we can make up the time and get back to where we need to be. So
you're not practiced enough on talking that fast. You could not keep that up for more than a couple minutes. It would be a valiant effort, but
hey.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. Made it further so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was never going to be a long butt rub. We didn't start early enough for that. So I'm not going to drag this out too much, but I need, my blood pressure went up. I mean, it lives up. Is that perimenopausal? Here's the thing. As all the other perimenopausal and menopausal folk already know, that's what you do for several years is go, is this a thing by itself? Perimenopause. Don't know. Junie, I never leave home without my blood pressure meds. So had to go to a dentist appointment for a cleaning on Monday. Why did I do that to myself on a Monday? And I indicated in my health chart that I have high blood pressure. And so I hated to tell them that things that make me a little nervous do spike my blood pressure. They took it twice. It was fine because the meds were doing their job.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to be
her blood pressure
here.
does best when she goes with her emotional support husband.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I mean, for a long time, I was able to stay off of blood pressure medicine because I would just bring you to all my doctor's appointments.
And everything was good.
Blood pressure was So, okay. Hello.
Hi.
I'll do the whole. We weren't here last week when we bring in the audio audience and just say it one fucking time. What else? Did you have anything for the butt rub?
No, I'm saving it all for later.
I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. And my shirt, I'm very proud of finding the shirt. All Panic, No Disco. Why was it appropriate for this week? I don't know.
It spoke to her.
It's another, let me see if I can fucking say it. Rural King apparel. We went on a day that was apparently the worst day ever to go to Rural King. They had every register open, better than Walmart does, and every line was
backed up.
I was like, I just wanted these 2 shirts. We were there looking for something which they did not have, not at a price we were willing to pay.
Mm-mm.
And then I found the 2 shirts. This is one of them. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't have much. Anything that we would have normally been talking about is bonus section stuff. And then we did a Spill Our Guts to our behind the scenes podcast for our Patreon that will be going out either today or tomorrow for anybody who happens to be on Patreon. Edited. Right. And so we spilled our guts there, and that got like
it's almost like a mini episode.
It is. It's like a mini episode. But so now I feel like I've already spilled my guts. So I'm like, well, what else is there to even say about life? I don't know. Also, I'm I'll say this again, I'm sure in a minute. I'm a little nervous about this week's episode because I want to do it right. And I know how I get. The words start either wording too fast and the brain can't keep up, or the brain starts braining too fast and the words can't keep up. I don't know which it is. But so I want to do this one right. Okay. So all that being said, we've now eased back into this. The sound seems to still be working. You can push your magic button and we shall get into things.
Oh, Jesus.
No. Nothing's. Did you hit the?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Do we need to? Okay, now we're having problems with the audio. It froze, is what it looks like. Okay, we're just bear with us a little bit longer. For anybody who uses the timestamps, I will eventually get a timestamp in here that lets you skip all of this.
No. Okay. Hang on. It's one of those days. Oh my God.
One of those days.
Oh my God.
Okay. It's Silent has offered to extract the audio again if we need it.
I know. I'd rather not.
Okay.
Hang on. Okay.
Oh my God. I wish I had something to like chat about while JB works. I'll move my phone. I only had it because I needed to post in Discord again. Okay. We'll just let JB work. And what can I talk about? It's just been same old. We will have a Lola update in the bonus section because she went to the vet this week. We got to see the 19-year-old last night. We'll talk about that in the bonus section. Yeah, I don't think I got to tell y'all what happened to the 19-year-old. I don't think I did. I think that all happened and I found out about it in this liminal space where there was no episode.
I'm going to press the button again.
Okay, we're going to try pressing the button. Audio podcast folks, you have no idea what it took for us to get to this point where we are talking to you now. Here. The folks watching the live stream and the YouTube video, they now know. They have been on this journey with us.
Yeah. It looks like I'm going to have to change the way I
do things. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. It's fine. It's fine. This is fine. And Silent asked, did JB just count me in like a TV producer? Yes, he did.
Yeah.
That's a little behind the scenes there too.
Yes, I did.
I want to give the audio folks a little rundown. So we started the live stream. We were in the live stream. We were live streaming. The sound cut out. We couldn't get it back on. We had to stop the live stream, start a brand new live stream, then talk for a while so I could calm down and we can make sure.
Got jealous.
So we can make sure the audio works. So then we always say, I tell JB he can push the magic button to bring audio folks in. He went to push the magic button. Y'all's side wasn't working. He had to do that again. And now here we are.
Yep.
It's like the universe knows that I really care. I care about all the topics we do, but I really care about this one. And I tried really hard to do it right. And I'm being thwarted at every turn. And I think the universe also knows that there are several people that I can name who really want this episode. Topic,
yeah.
And they are also being thwarted.
And yet, we're jumping through hoops to get it.
Okay. Okay. So before we get into the topic, for anybody who was paying attention and noticed, and thank you for the folks who reached out to check up on us. Yeah, there was no episode last week. And I'm being given a finger told me to. Okay. Now I can keep going. Okay.
The mic audio was jacked up. It's like one thing after another.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think we need to get the vodka out, and I think we just need to do shots during this episode. Okay. So we were gone last week, and clearly the universe went, oh, you clearly don't work here anymore. Let's fuck up all your equipment. JB was sick last week, so no, we did not do an episode, right. And he was mostly recovered. He was recovered enough by Friday night. We did the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
But I was no longer in the headspace to record a Monday episode. When JB thought he was, I'm like, I'm not prepared for that. So we skipped a Monday episode, and now we're back. So that's where we were. JB's feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
And now the universe is laughing at us, taunting us.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get into this episode. I'm gonna say many things. We know this. So the first thing I want to say that should come as no surprise to anybody with any amount of sense, we are not medical professionals. We are not telling anybody about their experience. We are using the best information that I could find that I felt like I trusted, but that does not mean we will be correct 100% in all situations. So if your doctor tells you something different than I have said, and that thing they said works for you, they get to be correct and you can ignore the fuck out of me. But this is not just being pulled from my ass. I used references that are reputable and know what the hell they're talking about to get to the science-y bit. And then we'll get into like the power exchange-y bit. The other thing is I made extensive notes, so I would have the facts part correct. So I will probably be reading more than just conversing for part of this. Yes, it's weird to me too. Okay. But I wanted to get this right. Okay, so let's start first for the resources I used to do this episode. I highly recommend them. If anybody sounds new to you, please go check them out. The links will be in the places. The live stream folks know that it's going to be a minute for me. So the first one is a book I own that's actually sitting on my desk, The Menopause Manifesto by Dr. Jen Gunter. Dr. Jen Gunter, you can find her online. She's got, blog, a Substack. She's on social media. I think she's even got a podcast. Jen Gunter is fairly well known online, social media spaces, very smart, loves clapping back at fools on the internet. It's delightful. The book that I have, the Menopause Manifesto, that book is from 2021. So it misses some of the newer studies that have come out about perimenopause that you may come across from the other resource. But that book is still very good. The general information is very, very good for some of the more common symptoms and navigating how to help yourself while you're going through perimenopause. The other resource is Dr. Mary Claire Haver. She has a book that I have not read it, but I desperately want to. It's called The New Menopause. She is a OBGYN, just like Dr. Jen Gunter is, but Dr. Haver specializes in menopause. Her patients are perimenopausal and menopausal. That's who she works with. She also has a list on her website, which will be linked, of doctors who focus on menopause or who have proclaimed themselves to be able to and willing to work with perimenopausal people in ways that actually will help them with medications and dealing with symptoms and stuff. There's also a section on her site that links to studies being done on perimenopause and menopause. One of those studies I am referencing in this episode because it had a great list of 50 plus symptoms, and 50 plus symptoms is even not the only amount. There's some talk that perimenopause symptoms can be there's 70 to 80 perimenopausal symptoms that people can experience. So yeah. So those are my resources. Links are and or will be in the places because we're time traveling. Depending on who you are, you can or cannot see them yet because today is chaotic. So let's talk about who experiences perimenopause and how. I'm going to try really hard to talk about this in what feels like the right way to me, which is as inclusively as possible. The most concise way I could think to describe who experiences perimenopausal is every person assigned female at birth who continues to have ovaries if they live long enough. There is a way to go into menopause that's surgical, like one day you had fully functioning reproductive, have a full whatever, wake up and you are fully in menopause, skipping, I guess, the perimenopause part. The thing about perimenopause is everybody's health experience is different. There are going to be exceptions to these rules. When I hate to say every specific type of person, but every cis woman who lives long enough will go through perimenopause. It's one of short of just going directly into menopause. Let me put it this way. How does Dr. Haver say it? Every cis woman who lives long enough will go into menopause, however you get there. Perimenopause is the most common way to get there, okay? But I want to encompass people who are not cis women, but have the plumbing and can experience perimenopause. Okay, so let's talk about what perimenopause is, because here's the thing. You yourself may not have the plumbing to ever go into perimenopause, but you might have or in the future have partners who can go into perimenopause. And if that is you, you will go through this with us. Just ask JB. Your experience is different, but you are surviving it.
Mileage may vary.
Right, just like we are. So perimenopause is basically the multiple years, and it is multiple, when the egg supply in the ovaries decreases to 0, and that is when menopause occurs. Menopause is declared 12 months and 1 day after your last period, or if you're like me and don't get periods, there's a blood test you can do. I'm now getting very used to getting blood work done every few months, and part of that blood work, they are always testing. Are you officially in menopause? I don't know yet. Speaking from what my mom explained of her experience she didn't label it perimenopause when my mother, this is not that long ago. My mom's only been in menopause maybe 5 to 7 years, maybe as long as 10, but I don't think so. She never used the word perimenopause to describe what she was going through. It is absolutely the word I'm using because it's what it is. For her, the way she described it to me, her periods were all over the place. And apparently her periods would play the joke on her of she'd go 9 months without a period. And she's like, hot damn, 3 more months and it's officially menopause. Nope, here comes a period. So do not be surprised if that is, a common experience that you might have yourself. One thing I was both a little pissy to learn, but also gratified to learn, like your experience with periods, if you're a person who has or can get or used to get periods, perimenopause and menopause, your experience with it is going to be wildly different. Some people are going to have it super air quote easy. They won't get a lot of symptoms. Those might be similar to the type of people who go, oh yeah, my period's not that bad. I barely notice it. I'm so happy for you, but I hate you. Okay. Perimenopause can be that way as well, up to debilitating, right? Just like periods can be debilitating for some people, perimenopause leading into menopause can be debilitating. And then there's the amorphous in between all that. Okay. So not everybody is going to have the same experience with this. And so that means it's, from my perspective, as not at all an expert, I find it very difficult to talk about, because what I know to be true is I'm somewhere in the middle of, I can kind of function, but it's not pleasant. And I'm now on medication to help myself function better. Right. And other people have it worse. Other people have it better. I mentioned this briefly a minute ago. We'll go into a little bit more detail here. One study, and it's fairly recent, and I got the link to it from Dr. Haver's website, showed in that study that there are as many as 52 possible symptoms, while some experts, including Dr. Haver, and it was a TikTok, a reel, whatever that I saw from her, there can be as many as 70 to 80 possible symptoms. That does not mean everybody will experience every symptom. It also means you get to do the fun dance of, is this a symptom, or does like my ear just itch? Because one symptom is ringing in the ears and or itchy ears. That's wild. So let's go over not every single symptom. I don't think y'all want me to list all 52, but let me give you this list. I have to scroll down to this thing. Okay. The study's pretty interesting to look at. Like I said, it is and or will be linked. I now have to get very close to the screen because this is very small. Oh, there we go. What are you doing? Buttons? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And now let me
just slide it over.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. I'm going to do some of the most common based on this study, and then I'll stop at a certain point, because we go from like, let me see, what is it? There's some that as many as 68.9% of participants in the study experienced, down to 1.6. So we're not going to go through all 52, but some of these might sound familiar to some of you. Mood swings, brain fog, fatigue, irregular periods, let me get this over. Difficulty with or just poor concentration, anxiety, irritability, insomnia and problems with sleeping, weight gain, night sweats, low mood, poor memory, lack of motivation, reduced confidence, heavy periods, tearful, low sex drive, headaches and migraines, aching joints, hot flushes, heart palpitations, scared the shit out of me. I thought I was having heart attacks, bloating, depression, itching, body parts, ears, body, vagina, anywhere, facial hair growth, been there, done that, breast soreness, painful periods, digestive issues. Do you see where I'm going? A lot of shit's happening. I haven't gotten halfway through the list yet.
Is that like Pokemon? You got to get them all?
Oh God, no. Because of like just how people and bodies work, if there are, let's say, up to even just this 52 list of 52 symptoms, just mathematically, statistically, there's a chance that yes, there are people out there with every single symptom, just like there's a chance that there are people with almost none of the symptoms.
I'm curious, because anybody who sits and watches TV for any amount of time, we see all these pharmaceutical advertisements. Okay. And the pharmaceuticals, they say, these symptoms may occur. All right. And we both know, most people know, you could have a cold going into one of these studies, and they're going to list, sneezing, runny nose, etc., as a symptom.
And that is my understanding of those studies too. Hopefully that has changed. If anybody can tell us that they don't do that anymore, that'd be great. But yes, so are you saying, is this sort of like that?
Is this sort of like that?
The study was specifically done to look at this, and I'm not expert enough in any way, shape, or form to pick apart studies and really explain them and the efficacy. What I could say is, when I was reading through it, I have read even like blurbs of studies where I went, what was that? A survey you put on Twitter? Like, how did you get your data? This did not read that way to me. And it came from a source, a person I trust to read these kinds of studies. So these are based on their measurements. They are classifying them as legitimate potential symptoms. Now, so my experience with some of these symptoms, I'm going to get into some interesting but and also annoying realities that can happen in perimenopause, is that sometimes you've had these symptoms your whole adult life, or maybe your whole life, and now you hit perimenopause and they just get worse. So I know for me, when my anxiety spiked 2 points of literal panic, I did not immediately go, oh, that's perimenopause, right? Like, I was like, oh, I'm already anxious. It was looking back, I was like, oh, this is happening in conjunction with all these other things. Perimenopause is playing some part in it. Now, here's an interesting, how many of these do I have? An interesting-ish fact about perimenopause. So a couple things. If you have been diagnosed with, or just know yourself, anxiety, depression, anything that like fucks you up mentally, perimenopause will exacerbate that. If you've never in your mind experienced those things before, perimenopause can bring it on. The most interesting one, and is why I feel like I'm playing whack-a-mole with my own self, is that perimenopause symptoms can be mistaken for a neurodivergency. So you could be going through perimenopause and, it could look like, oh, do I have ADHD? Am I on the autism spectrum? Right. But also perimenopause can make the symptoms and experience of that worse, which I couldn't find a study to back this up, but I know I've heard it from literal doctors. Late diagnosed ADHD specifically, I'm sure I've heard about that. I'm not sure about autism in women is often found at the time of perimenopause, because prior to perimenopause, when your hormones are at least whatever their air quote typical level was, and your coping mechanisms, and if you mask, your masking skills were right where they needed to be, perimenopause sets everything on fire. And now everything's worse than it was. And so coping skills no longer suit. They don't help you at all. So it is not uncommon for perimenopausal people to start getting legitimately diagnosed with neurodivergency. ADHD is the one I'm sure about. I can't remember if autism is in that list. So if you happen to be like me, where you're like, was I always like this? Is this the perimenopause? But wait, maybe we just I don't know either. And you would hope that doctors could help, but sometimes they don't know either. And I'm sure many of us have already figured that out. Okay. When does perimenopause occur? So this is an average. So some people will be higher or lower. Typically, perimenopause happens 7 to 10 years before menopause. The typical age range of menopause is anywhere from 45 to 55. Yes, it can happen later. Yes, it can happen earlier. That we're not even talking surgically, like just the natural progression. That means the age range of perimenopause can be 35 to 45. So if you are in your mid 30s, like I was, starting to experience some of these things, and you think, am I dying or have I lost my mind? And a doctor won't believe you, because they'll tell you, like they did me, you're too young for perimenopause. Not necessarily. For a minute, I believed the myth that the earlier you get your period, I was like, if hormone blockers had been a thing they were offering in the 80s, I'd have been on them. That was that early. Then the earlier you hit perimenopause and menopause, according to Dr. Haver, that is not true. I was very sad to hear that, because I was like, wait, I could go until 55? Are you fucking kidding me? So yes, perimenopause can hit in your mid 30s, and then on up, right? So no, you might be crazy, but you're not crazy if you're recognizing some of these symptoms. To potential treatments, the one I'm most familiar with is hormone replacement therapy. There are other options. It is important to talk to your doctor. It is ideal to have a doctor who will listen to you. Because even now, in the year of our Lord 2025, a lot of doctors suck with dealing with perimenopause and menopause. Dr. Haver said, and I believe it continues to be true or has been true until maybe recently, I don't know, but Dr. Mary Claire Haver has said on more than one occasion that typical med school experience is 1 hour on learning about menopause, a thing that will in some way affect 50% of the population. They spend an hour on. And if you get to have a long-lived life, this is something you could be dealing with for 30 to 40 fucking years. And most doctors don't have a fucking clue. So if that annoys you like it annoys me, welcome. So it's most likely you're going to have to advocate for yourself really fucking hard. And or if this is an option for you, find a doctor who gets it. The doctor who did my partial hysterectomy for me a few years ago was in the same practice as a doctor who told me I was way too young for perimenopause. It couldn't be a perimenopause. I did not like that lady and went, I'm not going to be gaslit about my own fucking experience, even though I was still a little unsure. I was like, but I think it is. The next year, I went to the doctor who ended up doing my surgery, gave her my same list of symptoms. I'm only 1 year older at that point. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're definitely in perimenopause. There's no doubt in my mind. She was also a doctor who had no qualms about and was very quick to, when it was a viable option, to offer me the partial hysterectomy, right? So that was a good doctor. My current doctor absolutely will prescribe the things that people need to help with their perimenopause and menopause. But something about my age, something about I'm not 100% sure. She was hesitant until I reminded her I'd had a partial hysterectomy. I should not have to tell you that I don't have a uterus and a cervix anymore and no more fallopian tubes in order to get, you know what I mean? Like, come on now. But that was a place where I kind of had to advocate for myself a little harder. I mentioned this at the top. Dr. Mary Claire Haver's website does have a list of people who are like, oh yeah, we do menopausal care. We will help patients who need that kind of care. When I went to look for our local area, I found one doctor's office in Gainesville, which is 45 minutes away. And that doesn't mean that we don't have anybody here locally. It's just that they are not connected enough to have put themselves on a website. So if you do need to do the advocacy route, more than trying to find a new doctor, I've heard Dr. Haver say this. I've heard other people say this. Take copies of the studies, like print them out or whatever, email them to your doctor and go, this is the science showing that this thing I'm experiencing, whatever, or this is, a good treatment option or whatever, let them see it for themselves. Now, common suggestions that are not just HRT for dealing with perimenopause: more fiber, more protein, weight training, better sleep, stress reduction, and yes, for some people, HRT. Supplements can also be like part of the equation. My doctor suggested a whole handful of supplements. I felt nothing different on any of them. Took them for months and months and months. So supplements were not it for me. Now, if anybody else out there feels like trying to get enough protein is their full-time job, same. I don't know how to do it without mainlining protein powder. I still have not figured out how to do it. And the irony of telling people who have the main symptom of fatigue and not being able to sleep well, that if they just got better sleep, their perimenopausal symptoms would be better. Yeah, it annoys me too. Circuitous. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Also, stress reduction. Just don't be stressed. Oh, you're at a time of your life where maybe you're like me and you're caring for children and you're helping to take care of parents and you're that sandwich generation. Don't be stressed. Oh, you're at that point in life where you're trying to like do something with a career, let's say, and pay bills that now include college tuition or something. Oh no, just don't stress so much. Just don't stress so much. That'll help your symptoms. Yeah, I'm bitter about it. Okay, so that's a lot. That's a lot of information about perimenopause. The folks who have dealt with it already or are dealing with it now and or the partners of those people were like, yep. for anybody else who's like, this is all new information, please use the links that I have. Live stream folks, I will get those links as soon as the live stream is over. Sorry. But for podcast listeners, the links are there. Check it out. Learn more. Highly recommend the Menopause Manifesto. And I desperately want Dr. Haver's book, The New Menopause. So now let's talk about power exchange and perimenopause and our specific experience for sure, because that's the thing I can definitely draw upon. So, and I also want to point out that this is not the thing I'm talking about will be about my role as a submissive and how it's being impacted. But AFAB DOMs, you're going to have your own experience. And if perimenopause does not affect how you operate as a dominant, I would be fucking shocked, right? I think the biggest, most important thing for anybody who can experience perimenopause and maybe is about to or is not that far away from it is to know that it fucking exists. Because I promise you, I heard the word perimenopause like once or twice in my early 30s and then never fucking heard it again until I started to realize I had perimenopause and was in it because the internet was teaching me something and it was social media that was teaching me shit. Fucking kidding me. And now if you can get onto that part of an algorithm in whatever app you prefer, there are definitely people talking about perimenopause. So there's more information out there. So I will talk about my personal symptoms that I don't know that I have 52. I tend to like wave away the small ones that I'm like, it could just be an itchy ear, you know. The heart palpitations is one I get very infrequently, and the first 2 times scared the shit out of me. I thought I was gonna have to wake JB up in the middle of the night to call 911. I was like, am I dying right now? Because I've never had heart palpitations. And then I woke, like the first time I woke up the next morning, like terrified. I was like, do I need to watch myself? You know, I'm trying to think of what are the main signs of heart attack in women. Like, am I experiencing any of that? I thought I was both losing my mind and dying. My bigger symptoms, the low libido, abso-fucking-lutely. I think that was my first clear sign that I was hitting perimenopause. The other being, and this is, I'm only can tell you retrospectively, looking back, an absolute spike in my anxiety, massive spike in anxiety. The first time I was terrified to make a phone call was late 30s. Like, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't like making a phone call. It never scared me before. And Jamie was like, we were talking about me going to a therapist. And you were like, we had found somebody who was king friendly. Like, you just need to call them. And then I cried. He said, just make a phone call. And I sat in my car
and cried.
And that's the hard thing. Like we were talking about earlier with anxiety. I've always been kind of an anxious person on certain levels. I've coped, I've ignored, I've worked around it. And then there are times in life where you have legitimate anxieties. When your daddy dom gets hit by a literal fucking car, it makes you more anxious. When your teenage child can now drive and then gets into an accident, you are more anxious. But what I've figured out, again, looking back, it wasn't that I was anxious because I'd always been anxious. It was how it spiked. It was how I panicked. There have been, I'm calmer now. I'm gonna equate this to a lot of the medications I'm on, but there were many nights for a couple of years where I would cry myself to sleep because I could think about JB dying. I can't really talk about that or think about it without crying, like for real, but I would be looking at him. We would be cuddled up, snuggling. I'd be trying to be silly. And I would look at him and think, I love him so much. One day he will not be here. And then just a panic. And I'm a quiet crier. I don't really like for anybody to see me cry because that's part of my childhood trauma. So I didn't tell him I was crying. And again, it's not that I cried. It's not that I was nervous about something. It was the level of it. It was the way it was impacting me. It was completely out of fucking character. Other major symptoms, brain fog, for fucking sure. For me, I remember pregnancy brain from having kids, that kind of brain fog. This is not that, which is what made me start looking more into executive dysfunction as it relates to neurodivergency. And that's been its own separate journey and blah, blah, blah. The whole, am I neurodivergent? I think a lot of it kicked in first because the kids got diagnosed. And then I started looking around at my own life previous and now, and I was like, oh, hi perimenopause for making that maybe potentially more obvious. Let me go back to my list here because I don't want to the tearful, poor memory. I fucking hate that shit. I used to have, at least I told myself I did, a mind like a steel trap. Now, this is the first one, low libido for sure, and I'll get back to it. This is the first one that absolutely started impacting me as a submissive, and it impacted our power exchange because it used to be pre-perimenopause. JB could tell me to do something. I would make a to-do list. I've been a to-do list person, but if he told me to do it, whether I wrote it down or not, I could remember it. I could remember it later that day. I could remember it the next day. I could remember it a week from then. I could remember it up until the time I needed to do it, and I could get it done. Now, perimenopause. First of all, once I realized my memory was shot, I was terrified whenever he gave me a task because I was terrified I would not remember it. And so I started putting in kind of extreme coping mechanisms to make sure I could remember it. But it also made me anxious when he would give me a task that he would try to say, you don't have to do it right now. And I would go, no, I have to do it right now, because if I don't, it will never happen. I will forget it exists. And I didn't want to be in trouble, and I didn't want to let my daddy Dom down. And I didn't want to not be as good at something as I had been. So I was very stressed about that. Did you have a point when you noticed my weirdness around tasks and my inability to remember?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And yes.
How did that make you feel?
Not so much how it made me feel, but kind of like, this is not her. What is going on?
You would say that a lot for a couple of years. You're like, this isn't you. This isn't like you. And I only in retrospect can I acknowledge this and say this and not freak out. The hearing, this isn't like you. You're not like this, was a gut punch, because for me, I already had am I losing my mind? What is happening to me as a human being? Which then, how is it impacting me as a submissive? I was already like really shaky, and I don't always have a lot of self-confidence, but the confidence I had was lacking. And then there's JB, who, especially in times of stress and turmoil, and we're already a little fussy at one another, he wasn't saying it to be mean. He didn't know my thought process, but to then hear, what is wrong with you? Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, because I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with me. It did make me very not just nervous to take on new tasks, but I was resistant to them. Can you remember the times you'd be like, I have a task for you, and my immediate response was irritability. Yeah. It was like, are you you learn to go, not right now. And sometimes that was okay. That worked for me. But a lot of times it was like, it has to be right now, or I cannot do for you what I've done for you in the past. And right now was not necessarily a good time. JB's always been very good about, I got a thing I need you to do, but I'm looking at your schedule, your life, your mood. I can tell you don't have to do this right now. And I'm going, but no, I do. And it would be at a time when I didn't have time to do that task, but I knew if I didn't do it right then, it would never happen. So my stress levels were through the fucking roof. Now, I think because I don't remember having a specific conversation about my memory loss as it pertained to perimenopause. But I talked about my memory loss and being sad and frustrated and worried. Often enough, you seem to have adjusted. So not that you don't give me tasks. It's more like, I'm probably going to forget if I don't write it down. And you don't, Lola clearly agrees in the background there. JB doesn't get angry at me or annoyed with me if I have to go, you gave me a task yesterday and I forgot to write it down. Can you refresh my memory? Can you refresh my memory? He's very calm about that, which is good, because then I'm not getting the, oh my God, I suck kind of feeling, which is not true. I don't suck.
No, you don't at all.
Everything about my brain and body are changing in some way, and I'm trying to adapt. Has it changed the way you give me tasks as your submissive now that you know my memory is fucking shot?
it's not so much based on your memory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What makes me think about giving you tasks at this point is what you have going on at any given time.
Gotcha.
That is more of a.
So when I do forget and I have to come to you and go, "Hi, I forgot," and I don't forget. You've gotten much better about deadlines. Like if you give me a deadline, I just go ahead and do it within moments, so I can't forget it. But if it's an open-ended one, so there is no deadline, I just need to do it. You have become very sort of kind and understanding about the, hey, can you remind me? How do you feel when I'm having to come to you and go, hi, I forgot?
Believe it or not, I'm more than anything, I'm glad that you can come to me and tell me that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be a hot mess around here if I was so anxious or worried about how you were going to react, or worried about, I went through this already, so I can talk about it now, worried about what it says about me as a submissive. It doesn't say it really, y'all, whether you're submissive or dominant. If these symptoms are fucking with how you function in your power exchange, you are not doing anything wrong. You're going through a massive hormonal shift, and it can take a while to adjust. It probably took me a few years to finally go, if it's not written down, it don't exist. And also, I'm humble enough to go, I forgot. Can you help me? So if you are the partner of a person like that, extend a little grace, please. Yeah. Extend a little grace. The biggest one, they all feel like the biggest because they feel like biggest in different areas of our power exchange. The low libido, the no sex drive. Now, I am a person during times of high stress. I ain't got no sex drive anyway. But this happened. I'd started to like tank. I'm going to say definitely 2019, but I really think 2018 is when it started to diminish, which is where I kind of clock myself as probably going into perimenopause. But if I'm trying to do the math on that 7 to 10 years, I start with 2019 just to be safe or whatever. But the low libido has forced us now, because low libido started when there was no outside air quote reasons for it. There wasn't extra stress. There wasn't extra pressure. One day I just was like, what is sex and why do I care about it? And then we hit the several years of high stress, or of course I didn't have libido. You didn't have libido. We are now coming out of those several years, finding our way through, but while you were still like, I'm down to fuck, I would love to fuck. And I was at the point of, what is sex? Don't know her. Sorry. It was a lost point of connection and intimacy. We've talked about that because we've done an episode on low arousal levels and libido. It was a lost point of connection. It was stressful for both of us. Yeah. Putting it in context of perimenopause and the symptoms, and you being the witness to how I have changed.
And I have to say this, to everybody here. In the beginning, when a lot of this stuff started happening, these changes. Now I don't think I ever actually got angry with you about any of it.
You could get frustrated with me at times.
Frustrated.
I felt that.
I was very frustrated for a while, until I began to understanding more of what was happening.
Yeah, and part of that was me communicating, and part of it I think it was how consistent it all was. This wasn't a couple of bad days. This wasn't me just like, putting my brain into out of office and just checking out. This was all the time. But my memory has always been kind of shitty on certain things, but it's really shitty now. My recollection of all this is that certain thing, no, it wasn't an all at once. I didn't wake up one day and have like 10 symptoms. It was a gradual thing where it was sort of one at a time. I believe it was my anxiety spiked something fierce. Then there was probably some other stuff. I didn't catch it. Then it was the low libido, sex, the desire for sex, just gone. And that was at a time I was still sex blogging. So that really that was hard on me professionally and how I saw myself as a professional. and hard on our relationship and hard on me as a submissive. We've talked about free use in past episode. We've talked about it throughout many other episodes. The reason we were having sex from about sometime in 2018, but definitely all of 2019 into 2020 was because JV had basic permission to just do it whenever the fuck he wanted, and I would be there. And the strangest thing is that if I wanted to speak up and say, no, this isn't a good time, I don't consent to this, that would have always been available. But what was actually oftentimes happening was it wasn't just no desire. I did not want to have sex, but I knew this was the only way we were going to connect intimately. And so it wasn't I just don't feel like it. It was like, I could be doing anything else right now, but I wanted to be connected to him. And so I got the whole, why don't I want sex when I literally talk about sex as part of my professional life? And also kinky sex is a big part of our connection. I was with every new symptom that changed how I functioned in our relationship, especially that being power exchange, most importantly, I had this sort of roller coaster of what is wrong with me? Why can't I do what I once did? And when you talk to people, usually who have gone through these things, who are older than you, certainly doctors, it's always like, well, it's just part of aging. Well, yeah, but this fucking sucks. And there are things I want to be doing in my life that make me feel complete and whole and good and are great for my confidence. And now I can't. And you're just going to tell me, sucks getting old? No. No. There are certain things, yes, I cannot do as I've gotten older. I know that. But a whole mental, emotional shift, like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that might be natural because perimenopause does that to you. But I mean, just the way it just sapped my confidence as a submissive. We've talked about this a little bit over the past few years, because I can find ways. My Pollyanna, brain is always like looking for the good, can find the things that are good and keep things going and make me feel good about myself as a submissive. But the reality is when some of these symptoms were just hammering me, that was my immediate thought is, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this anymore? So if you have ever had that feeling, or you're having that feeling now, I want you to know you are not alone. I had a thing, and perimenopause in action, or is it neurodivergency, or is it both? I don't know, but the thought is completely out of my brain hole now. What would you add to some of this? I had a thing and I forgot. Sorry, y'all.
A little bit maybe. I was going to say at this point in time, looking back in some instances, there was a point where your anxiety started spiking.
Yeah.
Okay. And it also coincided towards the end of making the decision for you to remove your IUD.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And our collective hope was that, when you got the IUD removed, that some of that might level out for you.
Yeah. That's not what happened.
And it is not what happened at all. Matter of fact, so, sometimes I wonder if that that spike in anxiety, that was kind of the beginning
Probably
of that.
Probably. It's hard. Anxiety being a symptom of perimenopause is like several other symptoms in that it sucks because, I mean, look at the world today. There are plenty of things to be legitimately anxious about. There are things in your personal life to be anxious about. There are things in the broader world at large, Jesus Christ, to be anxious about. So it feels, even when it's not perimenopause and you just are diagnosed with anxiety, right? It feels so small to go, well, I'm anxious, and a person with common sense is going to look maybe at your life or the world and go, well, of course you are. How could you not be? No. This is a level of it and a depth of it that I was never fully able to articulate, because all that would come out was, I am so scared. I'm so scared. I'm panicked. I can't breathe. The worst possible thing ever is going to happen. And I've been anxious my whole life, but just not to that level. To where I was like, maybe I need to be fucking medicated for this. But we didn't have the means to do that at the time. I can say, when my HRT meds, I'm on estradiol, progesterone, and a testosterone cream that also has estradiol in it. When I'm on all three of those at full level, which I'm not currently, after it's in my system for a while, a couple months usually is what it takes me, my anxiety is my air quote normal level anxiety, right? Like once I got on my HRT good and it was like working in my system, I stopped crying at night because I was terrified you would die in the middle of the night. Yeah. The other thing I've done that's not is coping skills. Everything gets written down. Now I then have to remember where I've written it down at. And it can't be on multiple pieces of paper. It has to all be on one. The making me do the family calendar was good. And we talked about that ages ago. That was good for a lot of reasons, but that was brilliant for my fucking memory. Yeah. Because
it freed up
so much brain space. Let me look at these symptoms because there's just.
All right. And while you're doing that, I want
go ahead.
Tayshu had a question.
Sure.
Kayla, do you think the peri-induced low libido contributed to the poly jealousy feelings you felt?
I do not think so, because the feelings I felt came from stuff that was older than being in perimenopause. It came from insecurities I've long held, and I was able to some degrees work through some of those feelings, and then they were not kicking my ass later. They've never gone away completely, but in each time I've dealt with those feelings of insecurity, they've been a little less and a little better each time, which means I'm working through some things. And it's, in my mind, it's not an outside trigger. It's internal. It's stuff bad things I believe about myself that definitely are not true, that come from probably pre-puberty, quite frankly. So digestive issues. Anybody can have digestive issues for any reason. It can be because of another chronic condition or illness. It can be anxiety. It can be perimenopause. My experience with perimenopause fucked it up so bad. One of the symptoms in the list here is bloating. Prior to my hysterectomy and prior to HRT and prior to things I started doing for my reproductive health, I could look 8 or 9 months pregnant easily. And guess what? It's real hard to care about sexy kinky times, or to feel your most submissive self when you can't even bend over without thinking you're gonna vomit, or does it hurt so bad because your whole stomach is like, bitch, what have you done to us? I spent the latter part of my 30s, I spent a lot of time going, it didn't used to be like, I didn't used to have this problem. My doctor's been trying very hard for me to get my cholesterol down naturally, because she's like, I don't want to put you on a cholesterol medicine if I don't have to. And then I learned from Dr. Mary Claire Haver that high cholesterol is a symptom of perimenopause. If you have not had high cholesterol prior to basically hitting perimenopause, and it's not like major lifestyle changes, or you've done the things that should bring down your cholesterol, and I have, and it still doesn't come down, that could be a sign of perimenopause, or that could be one of the symptoms. High blood pressure, But those early years, I spent so long going, but I've never had this problem. I've never had this problem. And then here I am with these problems. The weight gain is real. I blamed it on COVID, like everybody else who had weight gain during that time, blamed it on COVID. But I was also reworking my relationship with food, so I could maybe have a better relationship with food. And my whole life has never been easy to lose weight. I was never blessed with whatever that is. But it became impossible. I mean, I could eat like the amount of calories a toddler is supposed to eat. That's 1,200 for anybody who tries to do those kinds of things. And it nothing worked. You know, I could eat all this. I could do this. I could nothing. Part of that might be stuff that's pre-perimenopause, and perimenopause is just exacerbating it. Because when there's hormonal things and autoimmune things and like other things happening internally, perimenopause just makes it worse. That's my new, now that I think I've got my hormones kind of under control, that's my new thing to journey down. But that was one of the things was I was constantly going, I'm not like this. This doesn't happen to me. Like I said, knocked my self-confidence really bad. The other part was things that had already existed just being way worse, right? Like even harder to lose weight, but way easier to gain weight. Even harder to manage my anxiety, even, things like that. I think the biggest thing it's done for me as a submissive, or done to me, or however I want to put that, is my lack of confidence. Not currently, not always, but every time I had to adjust to a new symptom that made me see myself differently, because I was over there going, I used to be able to do this, right? I had to go through usually a long, windy, like curly Q line of adjusting to that and rethinking that, realizing that in one way, nothing is wrong with me. Like I'm not a bad submissive because I'm going through this, but also then taking on this may be either a symptom of something new, or this is another symptom of perimenopause, and adjusting my own expectations through that lens. But a lot of the things, the memory loss, the high anxiety, the low libido, just the the aches and pains that come from fucking nowhere and make it so you can't really function sometimes, right? All of those have interfered with my submission in some way, that either make, there's less physical intimacy, or there's less of an ability to connect emotionally. Sometimes JB will be trying to talk to me, and it used to be I could focus and concentrate on the things he said. The lack of focus and concentration and the way that sometimes affects me has absolutely sent me down do I have ADHD? And I don't know. And I don't have the means to go deal with the diagnosis. And, maybe not, maybe it is just perimenopause, but it's hard. I am a submissive who 24/7 submissive. I am always submissive to JB. No, it doesn't always look like it from the outside, but internally I am. And I can't focus on anything he's trying to tell me. Well, you want to know how hard that is to know that you have tasks to do, remember them, or I'll have your partner feel important to you. Like, it's not that he's not important to me. It's that the brain just wanders now in ways it never did before. Never. My ability to focus in the past was as what I would have called scary. Like I didn't hear anything else around me. I can do that now, but it is never when I want to do it. It's never when the light of my life is trying to talk to me about something and I have to retain the information. It's when I go down my own personal rabbit hole and I'm doing a thing, right? So nearly every symptom I've had has interfered with me as a submissive in some way. And much of it has been a rethinking. All of it has required clear communication. Like I have to tell you what I'm going through. Sure. You have gotten better now that I think part of it is being able to put the name to it's likely perimenopause. Yeah. I don't think it's something new. Whatever this symptom is today, it's perimenopause. Because in the beginning, we didn't have that word for it. I was just, shit was happening to me. And you were like, we didn't like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I don't say this as a criticism to you now. It is retrospect. Looking back, I can see this. So I'm going to tell anybody who might need this for the future. I understand that urge to look at your partner, whatever side of the slash, and go, what is wrong with you? If you happen to be a little bit like me, there's a good chance you will take it a little bit like I did, which is the gut punch that it is. Because for a partner to notice your symptoms, good chances are you've been noticing it much longer, right? You've either been trying to cope and hide them, or you've been able to catch problems before your partner notices. And so then by the time your partner notices and going, what's wrong with you? That can hit on an internal way that nobody means for it to. Like a good partner does not mean to make you feel worse about whatever you're going through by asking that question. But I'm telling future y'all who might need this at some point, try to be careful how you get to the bottom of that information. Like I would tell JB today, maybe don't say it that way.
Yeah.
maybe, and this depends on the person. Maybe something like, I see that this is difficult for you, or I see that there's a difference here. Is there anything I can help you with? Is something going on? Can you tell me? Whatever, however you do that conversation. But when he said, "What's wrong with you?" it was already echoing my internal, "What the fuck is wrong with me?" If any of y'all get to go through perimenopause and it's the mild kind, I'm very happy for you, but also I hate you. I love you, but I hate you. Because I don't think I have like the debilitating perimenopause. I probably have run-of-the-mill average perimenopause, right? And everybody I've ever kind of heard talk about their experience who has multiple symptoms, but maybe not, like they can get out of bed at least, they say some level of, I thought I was losing my mind. And that's what I thought at first. I thought I was losing my mind. On one level, I kind of like that it's a multi-year thing because we've had time for both of us to adjust, right? We adjusted our expectations. I think that's a huge important thing.
Correct.
I've learned to communicate them better. You now have a better understanding of, most likely, if everything is different from the way it used to be, is probably the perimenopause. Yep. And so we have time to learn how to navigate it. But also, I hate that perimenopause could be up to a decade long, because that's a long time to be this hot and sweaty. Okay. I am the hot flash night sweat girly. That's one of the ones I got too. You want to talk about fucking up your intimacy? When I am so hot that I think I am part of the sun now, he cannot touch me. There's no fucking, there's no pulling my hair, there's no hitting my ass. There is, I love you so much, get the fuck away from me.
there are times during the night when I wake up and I reach over, put my hand on her, touch her. It is like a raging fire.
Yeah. And if it feels like that externally, just imagine. I've joked here before, my internal combustion engine runs hot. I am hot and sweaty right now. And that's, again, I can't tell you whether you are the partner of somebody with perimenopause or you are the partner with perimenopause. And for those of y'all where both of y'all might be going through it, you are in my heart. If I was a prayer, I would pray for you, because I cannot imagine two people going through it at once together. It's going to impact your power exchange. It is in some way. You're going to have to do something different than you once did. You're going to have to maybe admit to some physical discomfort that normally you might not have talked about. The amount poor JB over the years has had to hear about my gastrointestinal stuff. I'm just like, this is what intimacy really is. I think I don't know what you'll experience and what you'll feel. But I do think that if you feel that you've lost your mind, or everything is different, or you don't know who you are now, or you don't think you're being a good dom, submissive partner in general, I don't think those feelings are uncommon. I don't think they're correct. I think you can do things that make you not an ideal partner, of course, but I think there's an adjustment period, and there needs to be grace given. And I think for yourself, like, please try to be nice to yourself. I think the biggest, most important thing to do within the power exchange is just, you got to talk about it. You got to talk about, I can't remember shit anymore. And I work, like, from a dominance perspective, when I think about what happens when you forget stuff, if I was not aware, and this is not about perimenopause, it's just like aging can fuck with your memory too. Like, that's just part of it. If you forgot to give me praise often enough, that would be hard. If you forgot to follow up on things you'd asked me to do, that would be hard. And those are the kinds of things I can see happening to a dominant going through it. Like, the things that, yes, are important and are important to both of you, and they just are gone into the ether. Like, half the thoughts I have these days just gone into the ether. We've gone through it from your back problems, but I think about perimenopause, folks having joint pain and body aches out of nowhere. Well, you know what? That can make it a little tough to get kinky, right? Like it. And I think for some people, if you experience it like I do, and it is a knock against your sense of self, and it disrupts your sense of self, I don't think that is unreasonable. It makes sense. If you can no longer do things or are no longer doing things you once did that you wanted to be doing, you know, but it's not talking about it, pretending it's not a problem, you know, pretending you can fake it and maybe they won't notice. I promise you. If you are in a power exchange where your power exchange is a top priority for both of you, and it is like, especially if it's like in the fabric of your life and it's just your partner notices, just go ahead and admit it. Just go ahead and tell them, even if all you can say is, I think I'm losing my mind, right? Or there's something wrong and I don't know what it is. Because the reality is, and I've said this and I'll keep saying it because it's my constant. I'm doing is this thing perimenopause? Is this thing something else? Like, name your something else, right? And you can't always know. You genuinely can't always know. I think, talking to your doctor is very important. If you need to, and you can find a new doctor, definitely go that route. And I think it's sort of the cluster of everything, right? If it was one thing, I would not call it perimenopause. But once you start learning about what those symptoms can look like, and you're like, oh, I got a cluster of them, and I'm in the age range, and it's probably perimenopause. But definitely talk to your doctor. But God damn it, talk to your partner. Of all the things that like are strong doms who think they're supposed to be strong all the time and can't admit weakness, please admit that, like, your hormones are kicking your fucking ass right now, right? To submissives are like, but I have to be good and I have to do what they want and I can't disappoint and I know I have that same internal monologue. I'm gonna need you to suck it up and go, I am your submissive. I want to be your submissive. I love being your submissive. I can't remember shit, right? Or I want us to be connected physically. The idea of sex right now is I can't, right? Like those conversations have to be had, because the symptoms will impact your power exchange, no doubt. But the lack of communication will have a bigger impact, because you can work around a lot of symptoms, especially if they can be managed with medication. Or I don't know, somebody out there who's gone through the perimenopause and is in the menopause stage, how much of this goes away? I've had some people tell me it all went away. And then I have my mom go, no, I still sometimes get a hot flash. I'm on with my mom. I'm like, no, I want you to go talk to your very old fashioned doctor who tried to talk you out of HRT many years ago. Like, here are the links, take them the studies, that science about nobody should do HRT. That's not good science anymore. There's just some people who shouldn't do it. And I don't know who they are. I'm not a medical professional. Take the information to your doctor, please, please, please. Because what the studies are showing, this is why I like to follow Dr. Haver, is the importance of estrogen, progesterone, estrogen especially, on the body, because perimenopause is this massive fluctuation. It's all over the fucking place, more so than whatever your previous air quote natural cycle of hormones might have been. And studies are showing that if you can keep those estrogen levels higher, then there's less chance of dementia. There's less chance of cardiovascular health problems later in life. There's all these things that can be killers of women and other people assigned female at birth. Can't make them go away completely, but you can reduce those chances if medication is an option for you. It is not an option for everybody, I know that, but if it is, so I'm like, Mom, you need to go find out if it is an option for you, and you need to tell that old man doctor that put me on it, because she's of the right age. She's gone through menopause. She certainly still has some symptoms, not all of them, but so yeah. This is I hesitate to use words that are maybe not mine to use, because I don't have any official diagnoses, but just like kink was very much my special interest, or whatever that is, clearly I made a fucking career out of it. Perimenopause is on that list, partly because I have this innate need to understand myself and what's
going on with you,
right? Yeah, and then where I fit within the world and how I relate to the world around me. And the world around me is not every fucking body. I don't like every fucking body, but like my world, right? Perimenopause is just another part of that journey. So like I get really geeked out on some of the information, but then I find it hard to talk about, because my experience with it will not be your experience with it, right? Because we'll have different chronic conditions before perimenopause. We'll get different symptoms of it. The role you play in your power exchange is probably a little different from mine, even if we're both submissives. And so that impact on your power exchange is going to be different. Like, it's like every interesting thing to me in kink. I can't give you a 5-point checklist of just do this, or these are the things that'll tell you, here you've got all the secrets of the universe. No. And the big boring answer is what you do when perimenopause affects your power exchanges. You got to talk about it. If medication is an option, if there are ideally, if I was weight training, if I could get enough fiber and protein, if I could get enough sleep, if I could reduce my stress, a lot of, not all, but some of the symptoms might not go away, but they'd be reduced. It would be more manageable, right? Plus, I'd just have better overall health. I would love to do that, but I can't hire a personal trainer to teach me how to strength train, because I will hurt myself, right? I will hurt myself. I can't figure out how to get more fiber and more protein at the same time and afford our grocery bill. Like, that's where we're at right now. It doesn't mean I'm not working towards it. It doesn't mean I've gone, oh, that's not important. It's just another part of the puzzle. I went for the thing I could do that was, for me, the most easily accessible, and that was medication. That is just a part of the puzzle, and I'm working through everything else because I want to be happy and healthy as just a human, but also as a submissive in our power exchange. I want to keep myself going long term. I can actually, if you happen to go down the rabbit hole of perimenopausal information, you will get to hear about the terrifying loss of muscle mass and now more brittle bones that I am living in. And I can see some of the muscle mass. I look at my body, I've lost muscle mass already. And it's like, I don't want to look like my great grandmother did. At 81, I don't know who I want to look like, but I want to be strong. That's one thing I like about Dr. Haver, because she does talk about diet and exercise. And so if that's a thing you can't be around, just be mindful of that, right? If you go look for her content. But she has the best thing she's like, if I could tell any woman in their 20s, stop trying to be skinny, just be strong. Right. And what she says to perimenopausal folks is it's not about calories in, calories out for this point in life. It's about nutrition. And I'm like, okay, well, that takes some pressure off. I appreciate that. And I want those things too, because I know that they could make things better in other ways. So then I can be the submissive I want to be. Right. But it's all a process, which I go back to. That's the double-edged sword of this being a 7 to 10 year slog. Right? I get enough time to start figuring some shit out, but also we have to survive it for a decade. So yeah. Yeah. If it's your partner going through it, try to be as supportive as you can be. Yeah. Somebody said in the live chat, my partner is younger than me and is perimenopausal. She had a lot of guilt when saying no. And it helped her to know that I was not going to pressure her as I had been there myself. Yeah. If I have to tell JB that I can't do something right now or at all, right, the best thing I can get from him is just total acceptance. He's allowed to be a little disappointed we couldn't do a thing. I mean, that's human. But he's just, he goes, okay. It does help, I think, in our situation. You're going through a period of life where you're going, oh, I can't do things right now that I used to be able to do either. And so we understand it differently, but
I'm reaching that stage of life where the mind is still willing, but the body is not always.
I would like the mind to be willing on my end, but my mind is a bunch of hamsters on broken hamster wheels. I mean, and they're all going different fucking directions. So yeah,
that's been a lot.
Mm-hmm. It takes up a massive chunk of your life. Mm-hmm. Somebody said it this way and then had to make a video explaining themselves because the internet hated it. They said it's a little bit like puberty in reverse. Not that it's a literal puberty in reverse, but it's like the other end of puberty where your hormones are going wild, your body is changing, your brain is changing, but on the opposite end of the age spectrum. And I was like, yeah, I get that. No, I definitely get that. I vibe with that. So yeah, if you are experiencing it and it's fucking up your power exchange, you're not alone. If you're the partner of somebody, you are also not alone. And if you are young enough that this is a thing you probably won't have to think about for 10, 15, 20 years, let me be a person who at least explained what the fuck perimenopause was to you. Because I promise you in my 20s, I'd never heard that word. maybe once, and I didn't even clock it as anything. So, so yeah, that was a lot. I kind of knew this one would, this one will probably run long. We will do a bonus section. And so yeah, my throat hurts.
I bet.
I don't know who this helped, other than those of us who are hot and sweaty right now and just needed a place to like share our community rage. At the minimum, if I can help people realize they are not alone in something, then my job here is done. Yeah. So to all those who are the sweaty, cranky, forgettable masses out there, I'm with you. I am you. So anyway, we can do a bonus section.
So, are we good?
I don't know. That's not for me to say. Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. Daddy.
One moment, girl.
Audacity is giving
me fits right now. Has been all.
I know. I've watched you. If anybody's like watching the video part and you've watched JB go in and out and click, and that it's right. Audacity.
Yeah. Okay. Bonus section. Talk to crickets.
Yeah. And I just realized we got to work on your handwriting. I just realized what you were asking me, but I know if I ask Silent very nicely, she will help us out with audio.
Yeah. I can been having problem. Audacity has been self-adjusting the audio. Okay. A few times it almost dropped to nothing. Oh, God. And I keep having to bring it up, and eventually it bounces down. So I've been fighting with that. It will not let me adjust it because it's recording.
Right now. Yeah. Okay. So that'll be interesting to listen to the original audio playback.
I should be able to normalize the audio.
Okay.
It's just going to be a few extra steps.
Yeah.
And, as long as it is, it's going to take a while.
Good. On one of the most important topics I've ever wanted to discuss in 400 plus episodes. Of course.
What else?
It's like this topic is fucking haunted.
Yeah.
I swear. We got a poltergeist in here somewhere.
So, they're asking about the Discord channel.
Oh, I have several things I want to do in Discord.
Okay.
That being one of them.
Let me know what you want to name them, and I'll get them set up.
No, I got to tell you my whole plan. I meant to talk to you a few weeks ago, and I can't remember what stopped me. Yeah. It was my own emotional whatever. Because there's a few things I want. So our Discord is available through our Patreon. That way it feels more manageable to me, and I personally am less overwhelmed. So I prefer it to be through our Patreon. You can join Patreon for as little as $2 a month if that's something you're interested in. But we have all kinds of channels because it's not just about kink in there for us. We talk about other parts of life, and I got a couple of things on my mind currently that I'd like to do that are more life focused.
Well, maybe this evening we can sit and talk.
Maybe we can.
Yep.
Oh, I had an idea for not a lunch date, not a coffee date, not a dinner date. A Culver's custard date.
Ooh.
Right. I know, because I can eat one custard like every couple of weeks and my stomach can handle it. And I haven't had one in a few months. So maybe we could do that at some point. Yeah. Having some of the brain power opened up because stress has been alleviated a little bit means that the ideas are starting to flood back. I'm so sorry.
I know I get it because I've been the same way. Now that I've been slowly lifting away from my depression, things are
the creativity can come back.
Yeah. Let's see. Jesus.
I would just stop if you can.
I can't.
No, I mean, I would stop playing with it if you can. I think you're gonna.
I can't.
Okay. If you can't, you can't.
Lola,
who's snoring in the background.
Lola is snoring in the background. We had been on a little bit of a journey with her. Some of we were back at the vet yesterday.
That was follow-up, not because something was wrong.
Yeah, that was a follow-up. We had taken her in again because we thought her allergies were flaring up.
Right.
And
And come to find out, it was probably pain.
It was probably pain.
Yeah.
So
I really like our new vet.
Yeah.
Same office, new vet. He's also gorgeous. Oh my God, he's so beautiful.
Oh God, he is.
Oh my God,
good looking man.
Yes, yes, and he has an accent, so I'm like, can I stare at you and you could just read notes, like vet notes to me, and I'm good.
I had to go to their website, and you know, I believe he's from South America.
Oh, okay.
I believe he's from South America.
Oh, God, he's got great hair.
Yeah.
He has I guess he would not be called a silver fox because he has just one splash of silver at the front of his hairline, and then the rest is like really dark and it's curly. And I'm like, but it's that like wavy curly. Yeah. I have spent way too much time looking at this man and thinking about this man. I'm aware. I do feel like maybe there's a little libido in there, even though my meds are a little off right now. It's kind of nice, and I love having a partner where we can elbow each other and. Privately, we will not make another human being uncomfortable and be like, "Oh my God, did you see that person? They're so sexy."
Yeah.
So yes, but he's also very perceptive about things.
Yes.
Things that we had been told, and they probably were for part of it, that were definitely allergies. Mm-hmm. There's a good chance of some of what she's been dealing with has been pain from her.
From her injury in her leg where she had been shot. They had to basically rebuild the leg. We told about that, and it's
before we adopted
her, and that leg is shorter. So the time before, he had asked, why are there no pictures of her legs, of her leg?
Right.
And you're like, well, nobody asked to ever do them.
Right. Because we were not dealing with anything related to her leg.
So he went ahead and did an X-ray of her leg. Mm-hmm. And what come to find out, where they did the work on the bone in her leg, and whatever they used to put in there
to stabilize
it, bone has completely grown.
And whatever they used to stabilize it has shattered in her leg. Basically what he was saying is, if she was in more severe pain, if it was preventing her from being able to function, he would probably recommend surgery. But she can get up and down from the couch. Right. She walks, she does this, she does that. But he said, because we were talking about, she licks her paws, that if you have a dog, that grotesque sound of them licking their paws. Oh my God. Anyway, we were like, and we've always equated that to her allergies of licking in between her toes.
And the fact that I have seen so many people on social media with staffies complain about how their dogs just randomly lick their paws, and it seems to be a staffy thing too.
And when we got her allergies were she was just inflamed. It was so bad for her. So that's what made us think, okay. And he was like, well, he says it could be. And we did give her an allergy shot that she's had in the past that calms that stuff down. He's like, but that can also be a way that they soothe when they hurt. It can be a soothing thing. And we're like, and he was saying a couple other things to kind of describe like signs that she might be in pain. And it was like a light bulb went off over our heads.
Yeah.
And so he's like, let's try some pain management. And the first medication he recommended, which we did end up going with, is a very expensive monthly medication. And he was like, well, before I prescribe this, let's do this test that's of medication. Like, let's see if she gets pain relief from this less expensive thing. And if that works, then you need pain management. And it did. This for 7 days on 2 pain medicines, she has been spry. She's been running. She's gotten zoomies. She gets excited about shit. She still struggles to get in my little Corolla, which I find fucking hilarious. It's like a small car, and she's like, woo! Yeah. But she's acting younger, and we were like, oh my God, I think part of this has been pain. But she's such a sweet, gentle girl. She just looked like she was becoming like a baked potato. She was just napping all the time.
So we're on a different track with her now a little bit, and it seems to be working.
Yeah. We got to see The Oldest in concert last night.
Yeah.
That's Tuesday, the day before recording. We will go back on Monday for another concert, of which he has solos in that one.
Yeah.
So next week he has 2 days of concerts back to back. And I was like, hey, we love you so much. We want to support all that you do. We cannot do 2 evenings of concerts in a row because we struggle to function the day after. Today is a day we start working at like 9-10 o'clock in the morning. Nope. 11:30 is when we did our first actual work thing today, because we just needed to sleep in and had a slow start. So we can't do 2 days in a row and get anything done.
No.
So I was like, okay, we want to see you in this band and this band, but this band, Monday, you have solos, right? And he's like, yeah. He goes, actually, I'd prefer you to go see me in that performance, because the band that I'm performing in on Tuesday, it's going to be a hot mess. We're not prepared at all. So come to another one of those concerts. I was like, cool beans, I can do this. So yeah, he's I cannot, maybe I talked about it during the Friday night live stream this month, I cannot remember, but he cannot ride his motorcycle right now because he got into an accident. He did not get hit by a literal fucking car,
but they cut him off.
But they could have hit him, and he swerved, and he could not slow down fast enough to not hit this car. So he had to swerve, and he ended up in the median, and he busted a part of his bike. So he can't safely ride his bike.
Turn signals are broken off.
Right. So he's got to get into the guy who does his bike repairs for him. He's got a guy now. And
yes, Silent, I do think so too.
So Silent says, isn't that his 3rd accident? I think he's cursed. Yeah. He's also a human being that only learns by doing
the hard way.
Right. It has to happen to him. And then he goes, oh, I
yeah. And
not a cautious bone in that child's body.
We did give him the Corolla at one time. Remember that time he really, really needed a car, and we let him have it for a few days. Got it back with a flat tire. We did. But before we could even take the car home, and the car was it couldn't even repair the tire. Had to get a whole new tire.
Yeah, that was fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times. Yeah, he's been on a vehicle journey through college.
Yeah.
He other than a little shook up and mad, but also I think
he
probably
was
more
not
scared than anything.
He was not hurt.
He was fine. This was not like JB flying through the fucking air and landing on his head. For the record, I was having my panicky, over anxious, crying because something could happen to my daddy Dom before he got hit by a literal motorcycle. It just got worse after he got hit by the literal car. So I'm just saying, So, but yeah, we got to see him, and he's been very tired. There's something about that spring semester of probably any school, but certainly college, that is, I guess, exexhausting.
Yeah. I guess maybe because everything's kind of coming together for the year. Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know. Right?
I just bring him pay for and bring him his medication now,
and food,
and feed him, and take him to Sam's Club when he needs it. And my favorite thing, I love that we continue to have this relationship. He'll call me, and it's always at like 9 o'clock at night. He'll call me on like some random Tuesday or something and go, "Can I rant to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, of course, baby." He's real sweet. He always goes, "Are you busy?" Like I would tell my baby boy that I am too busy to talk to him. And what the hell am I doing at 9:30 at night that I'm busy? I'm like, no, I'm fine. What you got? I need to rant. Go for it. 45 minutes later, he feels a little bit better. I'm a little more stressed on his behalf. So, yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out why it looks like I have a line down the center of my head.
Well, look at me and you're looking at yourself on camera?
One half is lighter and one half is darker.
Okay, can you look at me and I'll see if because one half of your head is lighter.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's from the glare or if it's legit, but at this angle, podcast folks, I'm so sorry. But if you wanna see this for yourself and judge for yourself, just go to this week's video. For anybody who actually accesses our show notes page, whether it's through our website or whatever, at the very bottom I always put the video to the episode for anybody who might come across our website before they come across anything else. So yeah.
Skunk Daddy.
Thank you, Silent, for giving us a new name for JB. Skunk Daddy. I'm not making that shirt design. I'm not.
and now it makes me think of the skunk cabbage I had in the woods growing up when a kid.
Okay, that's beyond my understanding.
At least that's what it was a plant, grew mostly around swamps, bogs, and streams, stuff like that.
So, okay.
And if you like disturb the plant, you crush it, it stinks.
Oh, okay. It's like a stink plant instead of a stink bug.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a light. No, come here. No, it's. Oh my God. Okay, podcast listeners, let me see if I can describe this. JB's got his head pointed down. Come here, come back to me. Me looking at JB, the left side of his head is this dark brown with just a little smattering of silver. And then there's this patch on my right. My right. And it's more silvery than dark. And it's just this patch, but there's a center line. Is that new? Or did we just never notice it?
I don't know.
But now, when you look at me head on, I can't
unsee it.
No.
Yeah.
We need to ask one of the kids who will absolutely tell you like it is to hurt your feelings, what they see.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so.
I know, right?
No, Silent said if we only had several years of video footage to refer to. Here's what throws me off. Every once in a while, somebody watches an older video and they'll comment on it, and then I'm seeing things in my feed again, like on the dashboard side of things, and I'll see one of our videos from 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, your hair was so dark. We were so much thinner.
And I look at those and I'm like, what the fuck happened?
I know. So,
anyway,
I think that's enough chaos for this week.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more chaos
next week.
And hey, if you're a Patreon member, the behind the scenes podcast episode will be up soon, and there's some more chaos for you. So yeah, we thank y'all for being here. Mm-hmm. Even if perimenopause is a thing you will probably never be around in your whole life, but you listened anyway, we appreciate you. For my fellow hot, cranky folks out there, I see you. I am you. We will survive this. And so yeah, we're gonna go. Thanks for being here with us.
Yep.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.